Hey there guys, it's TJ. Today I'm going to talk to you about what might be the best RGBW light to start out. Now, the light I'm talking about is the Yongnuo YN360 first generation. I would like to show you this light, but I'm actually using it right now. It's keying me. There is a soft panel in front of it, so the white is also very usable. There are a couple of reasons why I would recommend you this light as your first RGBW light, so let's go over them, and after that I'm also going to talk about some negative points which you must know about if you want to buy this light. Then I will just throw some extra information in there you might find interesting. So let's talk about the good things about this light. The first being it's really light. It's really cheaply made with cheap plastic. We'll come back at that with the negative points, but that means that it won't really weigh anything. If I put this in my bag or on the side of my bag, I don't really notice I have it with me, so that's great. Also, it is a nice form factor. It's a tube or a long kind of light, which might not be perfect for lighting people because it's long and you might want an even light in height and in width. This isn't. But being so small, it really fits nice on the side of a bag and you can bring it anywhere. It doesn't have to fit in your bag, it can just fit besides it with some clips. That is a really nice plus for me. Next, this light has a 1/4 inch tripod mount, which I find handy. I don't have any light stands myself, so the normal light stand fitting with the screw. I can't really use that since I don't have a light stand. I do have some cheapo tripods which I put lights on, so this is the perfect way to mount lights for me. Also, a lot of tube lights, they don't have any way to mount them just from themselves. You can put some clips on there that they provide, but they don't have actual tripod mounts or lighting stand mounts. So this one has it. That's pretty cool. Let's move on to the next plus. This light, for its power consumption and its size, has a pretty nice output. That is only in white though, because the RGB doesn't really output enough for me, but I'll go over that in the negative points as well. Another thing to point out is that this is the daylight version only. If you buy the bicolor option, which is more expensive, you probably won't get as much output as this because they have to fit two different kind of color LEDs in there. We talked briefly about the power consumption just a second ago, so let's go over that because it's a nice plus as well. You can power this light by Sony MPF batteries. They are used on a ton of lights, on a ton of monitors, on a ton of cameras. So you might already have these batteries, and if you don't, they're really cheap. You can get them on Amazon, even on AliExpress. So you're gonna find these batteries and they're not gonna be very expensive. If you don't want to work with batteries, you can just power it via a little power brick. This is a really nice feature of this light since you can use a lot of different kind of power bricks. You just need the right connection and the right voltage, which is 12 volts. But there is a quite big range of amps you can put in this light. It doesn't really need much, and I think it goes to about 3 amps. It doesn't come with any power options though, so you have to buy them separately. But as I just told you, for 10 bucks, if you don't have it, you can get it. The color rendering on this light is actually really good. On paper, it says the CRI is above 95, which is just great. That's all you need. I used to work with these cheap $12 AliExpress lights, and their CRI is just horrific. They don't advertise it as being a nice light because it's not. It gives terrible green casts, and if you put a magenta filter in front of it, which they deliver, then it's way too magenta. So this is not a nice light on your skin. This one, the Yongnuo, really is. It just does what it's supposed to do. Doesn't really have any green or magenta cast. The buttons on this light are quite good and also terrible, really terrible. So let's go over the good things about them and later talk about the bad things. The control on this light is just nice. You have a fine and coarse adjustment, which you can turn on and turn off, which will let you jump from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 or go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way you can make really fine adjustments and coarse adjustments. The RGB control is quite nice as well. It's intuitive, it's not the best. I would like to see it differently, but there are other lights of this price category. Pretty much all of the other lights do it badly. They let you pick a hue and then that's it. This light will let you pick how much red, how much green, and how much blue you want in there, and you can just control it with the knob just like that. A better way would be to first control the hue, then the saturation of that hue, and then let it control the brightness, the intensity of the light. That way you can control each parameter just like this light, but it's a lot more intuitive. If you want to dilute the color of this light, you can just use the inverse color and add a little bit of that, and then you will get a whiter light. And my last pro is that it comes in this nice bag. I hate to brag about bags, but this, well, it's cheapo, but you can sling it around you and it's nice to put on the side of your actual camera bag. So I really like this. And now let's talk about the bad things about this light. These might be some deal breakers for you, but if you're just starting out and want to experiment with RGB lights and also have white lights, I don't think they should be deal breakers. First off, I already told you, the build is really plasticky. You have to be careful with this light. You can't just toss it around. It's plastic. If you let it fall, it will break. It isn't really made to withstand major drops or water or anything. Be careful with it. Another con, I already told you, it's a stick, it's long. You might just want lights that are the same dimension in the width and in the height. This one isn't. It's a long light. It might not be what you want. But then again, I'm using this light right now and I think it's working quite well. Remember, I just told you that the buttons were really good and also terrible? Well, the terrible part is the power button. So that's not quite good. The power button is the worst button of it all. It's a press in button and it's also a dial. And the problem is when you want to lay it on a table, the light with the light shining up, you push the button down. So when you lay it on the table, you're actually turning it on and off, and it's not handy at all. It's the most annoying thing about this light, in my opinion. If you really want to do it this way, then your button has to be more stiff. It's way too sensitive. One more con is that you can add a little green or magenta to your light. Since this is a white and RGB light, a lot of lights have this feature. They let you add in a little green or a little magenta to pair it with other lights that have a green or magenta cast. This one just doesn't do it, and for 70 bucks I don't expect it to do it. I don't think any other RGBW light of this price range does it. The last con of this light, and it is nitpicky, is the orange filter, the tungsten filter you can put in front of the light. The mechanism to use it is pretty nice. The magnets hold very well and you always have it with you, so that is a nice added touch, but it just isn't a good tungsten filter. It makes your light look crazy orange. If you want to make this light tungsten, you should actually use some orange gels, some CTOs. I can't show them to you because I have them on the ceiling right now to make this orange background. Now I'm just going to throw in some notes here so they're in here. First off, this light is pretty harsh. It isn't softened in any way. So if you want to use it as a key like I am right now, it's a good idea to make some sort of contraption which softens your light. I have this $2 DIY diffusion sheet. If you want to know how I made this, then definitely subscribe to this channel, because next week I'm going to show you how to make it. Another note, this RGB light is fun to experiment with. It will work professionally too, but if you want to fill in your shots with color, then you should really make close-ups and close shots, because those long shots this light doesn't have enough power for those. If you want to fill a whole hallway into one color, then you're gonna need a more powerful light or a lot of these lights. This light has a newer version, the version 2, and it's more of a tube. It's really circular. It isn't this flat light as this is. It's nicer. It has a built-in battery, but it's also a lot more expensive. This light is around 70 bucks and the newer one is around 130 or something like that, so that's quite a big difference. That's why I think when you want to start out, you should go with this one, and you can always upgrade your lights after that. This light even has some better things about it than the newer lights, so let's go over them. The battery is actually replaceable. In the new one, there's a built-in battery, and yes, that's nice because you don't have to pop in another battery, you don't have to buy a new battery. But if your battery runs out, you're done. With this light, you can just pop it off, pop a new one in, and you can move on with your lighting. And apart from that, just the cost, man. This is 70 bucks. 70 compared to 130. I would know which one I want to go for if I'm just starting out and I don't know what really to do with it, but just experiment a little bit. This is the light to get. And there we go, a $70 RGBW light, which gives you great flexibility and a lot of chances to experiment. I really love it, so if you like it too, then just go ahead and buy it and start experimenting and having fun. If you like this video, then please check out some other videos of me. I have a lot of different comparable videos. If you like those, then consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.